see if that becomes a factor on the offensive glass.
Reed and Carr on the front line for the quick
Foul trouble.
Hildreth from the corner. That was a three. Away. That's for three. And it bounces out. Reed had it for a moment.
Mortal is Steve Forbes, and this backcourt really dynamic.
Tyree Appleby a season ago. 2 years ago, Alondas Williams was the player of the year in the ACC. 5 in total, a game high, and he made 3 three-point baskets against Clemson. It's Hildreth. Bounces out.
Carter guy, they've got to get body on body.
Salas into the paint
game, but then he's just been right around his average, but there every single game.
That'll go out.
But everything
else, player this season.
Everything else, and nothing. He had one other game over 20, but everything else has been right around his average, but very consistent.
O'Meara against Reed. Reed, angular rebound and tracked down by George. Reed does have one made three on the season. He's now 1 of 8 on the year. Might have
Reed, and we talked about him being in limbo because of the NCAA making a decision, but that was he's been such a huge addition to this team in the last 6-7 games.
Hildreth.
Machine ball. Wake Forest is not too far behind them in their offensive efficiency either.
George on the... Nigel Pack playing in his 100th career game as a transfer from Kansas State. George pulls it in off the miss.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned the size of Wake Forest, that George at 6'8" is going to have to be a rebounder as well. 2 of 3 from 2 on the year.
Stolen by Hildreth from George. By coming by way of the three-point shot. Hildreth travel. In college, it was his only basket of the game that provided the winning margin. Fredrickson for 3. George ran it down. Keller ran into
out there with the 2 personal fouls.
This is George. Salas recovered defense.
In a year, I said, this guy says Steve Forbes needs to send Mark Few a thank you note out at Gonzaga for
Reed and Salas
for lead
in that program. Salas launching. George lost the handle. If you're with us for CW Courtside Saturday, Tom Murray, Mike Javetsky, and our outstanding crew. Salas came up short. Here's Chad O'Meara, 7th in the conference, 18 points per game, and 3rd in rebounding. Up and under, looking for the style points. That one, Carr fought for it, as he does almost every possession, to preserve it and get it to Salas. Salas. Shot clock is inside at 10. George just weaving his way. O'Meara is there to clean it up. 582.
Yeah, and Jim Larinaga again. Bensley Joseph back on the floor. 2nd turnover now for...
As a team, Miami 37% from the floor. George trying to improve that percentage. And he
out of the game, they need a lift.
Salas working the baseline against George. George.
Pretty nice defense.
Wake Forest by 6. They've led by as many as 8.
Players have come up with 3 persons.
Joseph has not scored and only attempted it.
It's got the length and to bother his shot.
George rocking his first 3 on his first 3-point attempt of the game late in the first half.
Just a great battle with Miller and Pack going at each other.
Game for the senior Andrew Carr from Westchester, Pennsylvania, and a transfer from Delaware. That is George. 9 points now for Matthew Cleveland. O'Meara came out of nowhere.
3 seconds in transition.
Down to a 3-point game. Hildreth lining up a 3. Carr on the weak side. And they classified it as a lower extremity injury. Hildreth all the way across. Salas out of the corner. Head of steam. Does not get the bounce. Ball right back to him in the front rim. George. Try to get around Hildreth, who might have also playing with 3 personal fouls. He's yet to score in the game. George. 3-pointer.
Answers around the league are going to be saying new season high a lot this year with him.
4 of 6 on 3-pointers for George, including that one moments ago. Salas wants that 3. Possession now for Wake and Salas. Double and triple teamed on the baseline. Hildreth. Carr. Shot clock down to 7. Carr came up short. Away with it.
And O'Meara almost picked up a bad third foul.
Miller thought about a 25-footer, then lost the handle. Now Hildreth gets it back. He's on the run. He goes behind the back with the dribble. Miami gets it back.
A little too cute on the break that time.
George lining up a 3, and he makes it. Hildreth trying to go past George. He hit the deck. Carr over the top of George. He wrestled it away from everybody.
And aside from the shooting, George doing a nice spot in the glass and the finish on the other end.
Kyshawn George. Miami get Nigel Pack, double digits 10 times this season for the junior from Indianapolis, Indiana. Salas into the paint, dropped it for Carr for the. Salas misses. George up ahead, Pack. 51st game in a Miami uniform.
Salas has been a little quiet in this half.
Drive and kick Marion.
Hate to see the atmosphere like this back here again.
Also trying to snap a 4-game losing streak in the series. Shot clock is at 10 for Hildreth. Cross it over. Down the lane. Spin it off the glass. Out of bounds on the baseline.
Miami's really taking advantage when they've gotten that switch. As well. Probably a season high in that category.
Hildreth. Keller. How about Keller? It's approaching the 4-minute threshold as they go inside the Carr. Spinning. Double teamed. And fouled. At Joe Coliseum. George lost it. Reed went flying out toward midcourt trying to set a screen. Hildreth trying to work the baseline at day's end, but he had that final shot. Inside George. What a feat from O'Meara. How about 21 points? Kyshawn George. Miller batted out by Reed right to George.
And good job of him hanging around.
Quick 3 attempt.
Leading Wake in assists in this game with 5.
Hildreth. Got caught in the air. George knocked it away. Hildreth somehow to win it in regulation with about a 17, 18-footer. This is Kyshawn George. Not enough on it. Miller. Hildreth. Determined drive. And the kick, Salas. Right before the end of the clock.